So I realized yesterday an amazing concept. Everything, in fact, Nikola Tesla, who was one of the greatest geniuses, pretty much said this. Everything is frequency. Before Nikola Tesla came on the scene, what did people think? There's a tree, there's a human. These things are static entities. But actually, as Kabbalah teaches us, we are containers of energy. And that energy has a frequency. And these frequencies are actually measurable. So I'm going to give you a simple example. When you're in love, there's a frequency of love. We all know that love feels pretty good. When you're in fear, or God forbid, panic, there's a frequency. And those two frequencies basically will balance each other out. So if you understand the different frequencies that exist, you really get a very firm understanding of reality. And effectively, there are really only 5 frequencies. The first frequency is the frequency of love. Now, the flip side of love is actually fear. Because what is love? Love ultimately is an attraction. So there are many reasons why I may love someone or something. But ultimately, even the love for self, it is an attraction to self because I love myself for a certain reason. But all love equals attraction. And fear is the exact opposite of attraction. Fear is retraction. And there are many reasons to fear. I may fear being shamed, or I may fear a bumblebee, but it always has the same energy of retraction. Now, there is a third energy, and that's a pretty negative energy, and it's kind of an offshoot, as the famous Kabbalist Yoda said, the path to the dark side is fear, and that is the energy of, God forbid, jealous hate. And jealous hate is an energy that people do not accept that they have. But really, it's the only reason there's terrorism, there's anti-Semitism, there's anti-America, there's anti-wealth. It's all anti-movements or jealousy. Because let's say I'm a Jew. I didn't do anything to hurt you. Or I'm an American. Or I'm rich. I didn't hurt you. So if you hate me for that, that means that you have a jealous hatred. But as opposed to when I love someone or something, I accept that I have that love. Or if I am afraid of someone or something, I may accept that I have that. But in jealousy, I always lie to myself. What I do is I say the other person deserves to be hurt. Remember, if I want, chocolate, I accept. I like chocolate. Chocolate makes me feel good. If I am afraid of a bee, I accept. I'm afraid of a bee. There's no shame in these concepts, so I don't self-deny it. But jealousy itself is based on shame. Because jealousy is that it's not fear that somebody as great as me doesn't have something that somebody who's equal to me has. So, for example, I wouldn't be jealous of a prince that's marrying a princess because I know I'm not a prince. But if somebody else is marrying somebody that is in my status category, I may be jealous. And so jealousy means based on my perception of what I deserve and of what you deserve, it's not fear that you have something that I don't have. Now, of course, the bigger my ego is, the more I deserve. So the more I deserve, the more jealous I become. And that's why the secret to happiness is actually in gratitude. And there's an entire field of psychology called Kleinian psychology. Melanie Klein, she was a very brilliant woman. And her whole field is about the problems of life is jealousy, and the solution is gratitude. And really, that's what Judaism teaches us. Every morning you wake up, you thank God for your 10 greatest blessings. You basically thank God for everything you have. If you have something, you make money, 10% to God. You're always giving it to God. Why? Because when you self-develop your own ego, then you'll never be happy because now you're entitled to more, and now you become jealous of all the people that you think that they have something that you don't have. So that's why the fourth energy in this world is actually to be a humble servant of God. And we all actually have this energy. A psychiatrist told me we actually have parts in our brain that light up when we're spiritual. God is part of who we are. But we have to accept that. And when we say to, as somebody told me, I am not a worrier, I'm a spiritual warrior. When we understand that I'm not a worrier, I am here to fulfill a higher purpose. God has a purpose, and He told us in the Torah, generally speaking, obviously for men, women, to follow the commandments, to get married, to have children, to be good people, to help people. I mean, that's basically the story. So the point of the matter is that if you see yourself as a soldier, right? Think about the energy of a soldier. So his energy is more mission orientated. So the first thing, which is love, is something I'm going to attain for me. The second thing, which is fear, is something I wish to prevent from harming me. The third thing, which is jealous hate, is I wish to destroy. The ego says it's not fear. And so I need to get rid of that problem, which isn't fear. And usually it's a lie, because who are you to decide what is and isn't fear? So the fourth thing, and the way we overcome jealous hate, is by saying I'm not a worrier. It's not my job to decide what's fear and what isn't fear. I'm a spiritual warrior. I'm here. Baal Shem Tov says, what is a Jew, a spiritual warrior? I'm here to make the world, myself and the world, a better place. And so it doesn't matter what I don't have. It just matters what I do. How am I making the world better? So these are four energies. And the fifth energy, which is very, very sad, unfortunately, but it does occur to people, is a depression. And in fact, you may not know this, but 80% of depression is based on anxiety. So unfortunately, anxiety is when, there's a difference between fear and anxiety. So fear is when I have something, let's say I'm afraid not to pay my taxes. So I pay my taxes. And fear is not a bad thing, because there are many things you should be kind of cognizant that thing can harm me, and therefore I take proactive measures. But anxiety is when I don't feel that I have control of the situation. I feel in danger. And that's really post-traumatic stress, where a person feels in danger. They don't have control of the situation, and they're basically panicking. And that panic is a very, very negative state. It does not feel good. And basically, the ego, just like the ego could be upset at somebody else, oh, that's not fair that they have something, or even anger, it's not fair that they did something to me. But it also can be against the self. Just like you fall in love with yourself. What do we say? Love is attraction. So when you're very young, what happens is you have these needs. Your body says, oh, I'm hungry. And then you, suckle from the mother's breast, and then you feel better. Now, how did you get your mother to know? You started to cry, and then your mother said, oh, my child needs to. So in your little body brain, you said, oh, wow, look at me. I'm so powerful. I can cry and I get things. So you develop this big ego. In fact, they say there's no bigger narcissist than a little child. And that's why when the child doesn't get its way when it's about 2 or something, they go through the terrible twos, because they feel the whole world is meant to give me whatever I want. So you see, you've fallen in love with yourself. But actually, depression is the exact opposite. It's basically, in a way, falling in hate with yourself, because here you have some kind of a need which you feel that you should be able to give yourself, but you can't. And therefore, there's almost like this hatred of self, because, and it's all subconscious, the person basically is basically mad at themselves. And so, obviously, a person, the only hope in life, really the only hope, because again, love, look at addiction. Love can go in very bad places. Look at, fear, fear and anxiety, it's not good. If it's, obviously, like I said, normal fear is healthy, but anxiety is not. Then look at jealous hate. That's the worst thing. That's the cause of all destruction, all this terrorism, and all this Black Lives Matter. It's not about Black lives, because who are the people that kill most blacks? Blacks. So if they cared about Black lives, they would go basically get rid of the criminal element within their own society. It's all about shaming someone else. So these movements are all about jealous hatred. And this is a very real thing. The Jews, my people, even my own great-grandparents, 4 of my great-grandparents were murdered for being Jews. What did they do wrong? Nothing. But that's jealous hate, because you have some people that are miserable, and they're basically create narcissistic personality disorder. And then they think that it's mirror, mirror on the wall. I'm the best of them all. And so why should you feel joy? Why should you feel dignity and self-pride? And that's all it is. And so obviously that's a disaster. because we do believe in heaven. I mean, imagine what Hitler's hell looks like. I mean, everything a person says and does gets recorded. You do something good, you'll get rewarded for that. You do something bad, you're going to be punished for that. It says in heaven, listen very carefully to what I'm saying, for even a slight comment that is negative to a person's wife, you're judged in heaven. You made someone feel bad. It doesn't work like on earth, you get free choice. You get to heaven, they roast you. It's not a joke. I mean, I'm not a negative person, but I've learned a lot about spirituality and mysticism. It's real stuff. They say the fire of hell is like, I don't know, 60 times hotter than the fire of the sun. It's real stuff. And we have people that have kind of been near-death experiences. It's real hell, because you have to be a sensitive, kind person. And they will, you know, where does the insensitivity come from? It comes from an arrogance or an anger. But once you get to heaven, they're like, we don't accept that here. You know, you need to humble yourself. And really, truth be told, you know, before COVID, as soon as COVID started, I believe, and based on Kabbalistic teachings, that this was what's called hamtakas adinim. It's a bringing a certain humility to people, because we can only function as a sane and kind person if we're humble. And so that leads us to the only solution in life is to look at it as a bigger picture. And that is, I am a creation of God. I'm actually a soul of God. And I'm here to fulfill a godly purpose. And once you do that, think about people like Albert Schweitzer. They went to Africa and he distributed free medicine. You have a lot of people, and I'm very impressed with some of the Christian missionaries. They go to all over the world, and really they do amazing work. And I mean, within my own faith, I mean, Chabad, my own movement, we have thousands of individuals that go around the world very selflessly. I have cousins in China, and they really care for all the Jews and Gentiles in their area. So the point is, once you go higher than narcissism, higher than it's all about me, and usually, you know, you can't blame someone for being a narcissist. Usually that is just kind of really a way of self-protecting. It's like somebody's been shamed, which they say everybody's been bullied because this jealous hatred is there. And so, you know, it's a way of kind of making myself tough and important so people don't attack me. It's like I say, if you see a knight in shining armor, had all this armor, so does that mean he's a tough guy, he's a strong guy? No, it means he's afraid of getting hurt. That's what it means. So the more armor someone has, the more fear they have. But be that as it may, the point is that it's a natural reaction. But the only way we overcome all this stuff is we have to say to ourselves, 1 second, what am I? I'm a DNA. Every single part of me is a DNA. That's a code. Somebody made that code. The whole universe is DNA. Even I have a good friend, Aryeh Ruman, he's a NASA scientist, top scientist. He says, basically, all matter is just information. I mean, the scientists themselves are saying now, it's called string theory. Everything's just like different kind of frequencies, and these frequencies make up the different things. So in other words, they're saying it's just kind of information. It's like the data on your computer, which creates an image, it creates a function. That's all it is. And so once you understand that there's a purpose to this information. If it's all information, if this is all data, so then why did this data come into the world? And so to sum it up, it's 3 things. First of all, God loves you, just like a parent loves his child. So why do I give birth to a child? Because I love my child. I wanted to have a child. And what's the second thing is I give my child a beautiful world, because I want my child to have an opportunity to grow and to get married and to do goodness and kindness, and want him to be challenged and to overcome those challenges, to self-develop. And the third thing is, what does that lead to? It leads to a very beautiful third state, which is harmony and unity.